Let's go fishing. This is part one of a two-part series where I went bass fishing at one of my favorite local spots, but ended up having some unexpected catches. Since I had decided to come to the spot when it was windy and rainy, I wanted to throw around my spinnerbait around as much of the structure that I could see. But to add to the difficulty of the weather, I was also approaching low tide, which, while this is the spot I typically go to during low tide, because the water's deeper so the fish tend to migrate here, it still presents a challenge versus fishing this area during high tide. With no luck on the spinnerbait, I decided to swap over to a small rattle trap and just taking that around, working on all the same areas that I typically work. But with no luck on that, I swapped over to a jointed minnow, which, as I've said previously in other videos, that I have had luck on in different areas, but I can't seem to get a bite on them around here. So same thing as before, just working in the same areas, but of course forgetting to bring the net with me, so I had to go grab it. Nothing worse than hooking up on a fish and not having the net. So I tossed it around a little bit more, swapped between lures after this, but decided to go ahead and put on a bigger rattle trap. In fact, this is my favorite and the one I've caught many fish on in this area. So I started just working this around and tossing in the different spots that I typically fish. Now, I didn't say it earlier, but with the rattle traps, whether they're small or large, I tend to toss them out and let them sink as close to the bottom as possible and just slow roll them across the bottom, especially during low tide. And while casting around, I ended up seeing this. I couldn't tell what type of fish it was, but whatever it was chasing bait fish, and the bait fish lost. So I knew I had to be casting in a good area, which not long I ended up hooking up on something, feeling pretty stoked only to realize it was just a shell. So I moved to the other side of the pier, again just casting out, letting it sink to the bottom and slow rolling it across the bottom. And that's when this happened. Boom, fish on. Now with this technique of the rattle trap, I never know what I'm going to catch, but it turned out to be a small little channel catfish. Not what I was looking for on a bass fishing trip, but I'll always take it. Not bad, and I'm always happy to catch anything. So I tossed my line back out there to see if I could get another bite. But with no luck, I cast it back over to my left, parallel to the pier, but unfortunately got snagged. Stay tuned for part two.